Let's click Mara because cut Mara.
Highlight gray, then highlight,
Right.
then cut. Assalamu alaikum ashabta. Today live kayaan kusoo laabtay. I wanna answer some many questions that my friends has asked me. Su'aalo badan jiro oo isoo weydiiyeen ardayda ama asxaabta or for those who are concerning about for developing. Su'aasha waxay tahay, the question goes this: what is the difference between front-end developer, back-end developer, and full stack developer? So to start with the front-end developer, we can say that for those who are concerning for front-end developer is just like front-end. It's all about browsers, all about the browsing for the websites. If you are a front-end developer, you use some languages, like for example the language that I used to develop with websites like CSS, JavaScript, and HTML are the three main background that are built in front-end developer. So if you are full front-end developer, you only concern with websites. You only do with websites. Things that is concerned with websites, not any other field areas. For example, if you want to maybe develop for web pages and interactive pages, for example, let me say but if you are just designing for forms that the user can interfaces, that the person, that the user can enter all the information in order to submit with the information to the database. So to conclude with, front end developer is just like the clients, the users who at the first time, the clients who develop at the first scene, first page of a website. For example, if you just Google something like Jambada Technology, or what do we say, anything like www, just Google, the first page you see, whatever you see is front end. Whatever you see at the first time at the page, or the page that you are at the site, it is front end. It has been created using HTML and the CSS. I think you can understand. The CSS is CSS is cascading sheet, and also the other language called HTML, hypertext transmission protocol, and also JavaScript. These are the three main languages that are built, that are used in front-end developer. To come with backend developer, is backend is what is going behind the instance. You see, for example, you are filling a form that you are registering yourself in a certain form or in a certain website. You enter all the information, like for example, let me say, yes, your username, password, everything, everything, like the date, the nationality, everything. So by the time you click the submit button, where is that database? Where is that information goes? What does is the backend. So for example, backend developer, like for example Ruby, Java, also React, what do you call Python. Those are languages that are used in backend. PHP, you see, hypertext preprocessor. So those are the languages that are used in backend developer. You see, so backend is the server. Let me say now, just in one word, server is just the server. Backends are the servers. By the time the user submits all the information, So the server now receives all the information and stores to the database. Let me say. So those are the backends. So backend developers are the servers who are concerning with the arranging or storing the information, the data analysis, scientific, programming, and whatever it is. That is the backend developer. So to come with a full stack developer is the sum of backend and front end. When you are mastered with backend and also front end, so you are now full stack developer. You are a full stack developer. Full. That is now in general. You have a generalized in backend. At the same time, you know also backend and front end. So by the time you just conclude all of it, you are now full stack. So if you are full stack, you are very lucky because you have to spend a lot of time to learn first backend and as well as later on front end, back end. Then you will be a full stack developer. All right. Some guys also ask me the question like, where can I start with front end or back end? So because you cannot become a full stack unless you start from back end, you start front end at the same time back end. So that is the time you become now full stack. Now in that way now some guys now are very curious to know where can I start, front end or back end. So that is very simple. Unless you are not understanding well, you start with front end developer. You start with front end because front end is an easy when it's compared with the back end, because back end require a lot of knowledge and syntax. So if you are mastered with the back end, that is the time now. By the time you just begin with the let me say back end, that is the time you go to you start with let me say back end, front end, then you go to back end, then full stack. You'll be full stack. So that is the beginning. So first of all, just start with HTML, with those closing and opening elements, and also styling system, the like the CSS, by styling, coloring all information, how you can create. Start with developing with also, let me say, some for creating form inputs where the person can enter all the information, the let me say the username, the date, everything, all personal details. Just try to design all those information. So then add with the JavaScript, and JavaScript also sometimes they term as a backend as well as they term as also backend and front end. The two of them will qaadan karaa because when you create a form, a web page, when you create a web page that has some forms and some elements and some categorization of designing and everything, so you cannot do anything because HTML is always not a full it's not a full language where it can go along now. So it should be combined with JavaScript in order now everything to be suitable and to be submitted with some forms and everything. So JavaScript is very important, by the way. It sometimes stands as a back end and sometimes stands as a front end, because by the time you click a button when you create a form using CSS and HTML, and you fill all the information, you cannot submit an information unless there is a PHP or JavaScript. So JavaScript now has to be combined. For example, when when you're hovering and a link, or what we call it, by the time you are just submitting information, it should be combined uh, with a JavaScript. So in that way, now all the website will be dynamic and will be well trusted and reliable website. So in that way, now we advise you to begin first at the front end, how to create websites and designing the layouts and everything. By the time you just mastered all the elements in CSS and JavaScript and everything, so later on you can go to backend. It will be very easy to understand for the elements of the other languages, because you start from the easiest way, then to the highest. You see, so you start front end, then back end, then you will be full stack developer. All right. Okay. The other question that they mostly ask the guys is which one is most paid in companies? Which one is most paid? If you are front end developer, or back end, or full stack. I can say that what matters is your career. You see, is your career, is your field of understanding. If you are in professional with front end, you can earn more money than full stack. You see, because what the most of the companies look is how do you how's your understanding, how's your background in full stack or whatever. You see, so if you a trustee in a certain field, for example, if you're backend developer or full stack, you can have more salary in full stack in backend than front end. You can have more salary than in front end than full stack, or full stack or backend, because what matters is your field of understanding and your field of professionality. You see that? So that is the how I can say in for the questions that I have been asked with my friends. The other question they must ask me is where have you begin? Where have you begin? You start with where you back end or front end, or you start with full stack, huh? That's now very simple. When I was beginning with this, I begin with the front end programmer. I tried to create some websites using HTML. Even I was not combining with CSS. I was trying to create a website, something that looked like websites. I just go to the websites and I just take a picture. So I try to create, in that layout, in like that page using HTML. And I have already told you that HTML is front end developer. So then I was trying to do that. Then later on I tried to combine with the Cascade sheet. Then later on I tried. Now I was thought that using only CSS and HTML is only what's needed in general. It's only what's needed. So I was unable to submit some forms, some buttons, and everything. Then some my teachers and others tell me that you should also combine with JavaScript. So I was very much fear in JavaScript is with those big languages. How to combine and the reserved words, input, print, this one, if this one, functionality, arrays. I was so much fear about that, but now later on I try to do more and all that, and I try to work out and not to give up. But Alhamdulillah, I'm still now in good area that I can still develop websites and also can develop some machine languages. even I understand, but the first time I was starting with programming, I did C language, the first language. You see, C language. C language. I tried to create. I think you have seen some black screen where you type some information. Black screen fear. It is very fearful, to see that screen written like start, create, and that one. It's equal to printf hello world. That's the beginning of how to print with an information in C. Then later on I started to combine with C++. Then I tried to create some calculator that you can input some numbers and multiplies and gives the answer. You see, that's where I try to begin, and later on I got a very very huge understanding about how these languages is now following. You see, in the first beginning it is very much fearful. It is very much fearful to understand what this language is, what is this language goes, and what is this code is, numbers and syntax, how they are following. It is very critical to understand with this. And then I said, people have understood, so you have to also do you alone. So I tried, I didn't give up. I tried to do with C, and how if and syntax, and if case break, everything. But alhamdulillah, then I tried to do with JavaScript and a Python. So then I asked with my teacher. I asked my teacher now which one is so better now. Which one can I begin with? With these languages, JavaScript or Python. So then sorry for interruption. Then later I said, now I tried to ask many questions to my teachers and also my group mates whom we were trying to create with some projects. Then he asked me, he told me that if you are concerned about websites, creating websites, and developing a dynamic website, then he told me go to JavaScript. If you want to develop machine languages, just like the machine, like words, like let me say all the machine languages. You see the robotics, and all of this. If you go to those areas, then he told me just go to Python. If you wanna also develop with some Android studios, like mobile apps, then he told me also to go with Java. So then later on I decided, now as long as I know some background about CSS and HTML, then I said I have to begin with JavaScript. Let me first finish the front-end programming. As long as I know some basic about HTML and CSS, so let me add with JavaScript, then later on PHP, in order to have now a full understanding about front-end programming. So that's now what I have chosen, and now alhamdulillah, I'm now so perfect in terms of developing some dynamic websites. I go to some some companies, I design for them their websites, and store them in MSD, their domain names. I'm also doing some other Android studios, Java. So I'm now trying to touch in backend developing. You see, in some good areas. I'm now in good area now. So I also I advise you to begin with first front end, back end, then you become full stack. and no matter, in the area of your understanding is what matters. You can take more salary than others when you are in professional in a certain field. All right. There is also a question that they mostly give me. They compare with JavaScript. You see, what is the most used and most debated language? JavaScript and Python. When this question now, when you look Google trends, JavaScript has the highest graphic base salary, has the highest base salary than Python. So Python is the second. So now today the world is mostly using JavaScript to develop dynamic websites and other aspects. Also, as well as Python, also you can use any machine languages and also dynamic websites. But now, by the time you compare with these two languages, JavaScript is the top used for today's development. So it is very important to you to use to learn with those languages. You can, if you want to know, if you start today, you will be one day in top places. You know what matters you to start. Huh? So I will be giving you. You can understand. I'll be boasting to Jamada Technology with learning JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. So you meeshaas igala socon doontiin inshallah then. So be ready to learn with any language that you deserve. So if you want to do with the backend, I will be boasting. If you wanted to learn front-end development, JavaScript, and CSS and HTML, I'll be boasting. If you want to also begin with backend development, so I'll be boasting with Java, Ruby, React, and databases and PHP, all these. Huh? So now, in that way, everything will goes well. To also, your learning will be very important to us. Also, maybe in our field, in our place like Somali, we are not much interested in those areas. But now we have to at least try to do and follow the world, how the world is moving. So always communicate and follow in Jamada Technology, where I will be posting all concerning technologies for day-to-day running activities. So you can still have your school there in Jamada Technology, and you will be good to go. In any field you like. Okay, I think those are the questions that I was trying to answer, and my friend is also asking me. So everything class out in Jamada Technology, so everything will be in the right place and as you want it. You see, I've been explaining things in English, but I was trying. I will be trying to also answer in our language, Somali. So I was generalizing. The question was going to the world. Even there is people who doesn't understand this Somali, our language. I was also there when they were asking me the question, so they were advantageous to them also to understand. So now what I will be concluding is I can say have a good day and also be always friend with Jamada Technology. Then it will be Jamada Technology will be in the right place to boast all all necessary education required in IT field. I'm Zaki Janai. So waxaan idin leeyahay maalin galab wanaagsan. Waxaa dadkii manaha aan daawanina ashirkan waxay kasii daawan doonaan in my YouTube as well as waxay kasii daawan doonaan in my YouTube, WhatsApp, let me say not WhatsApp, also in Facebook. So they will be getting all the answers they were requiring. So thank you very much. Have a good day. All right. So thank you.